Hi YouTube, welcome to Butterfly Alchemist. Today I'll be talking about Jane Goodall and what it means to be a numinous human being and why I feel she was numinous. So what does numinous mean? Numinous is one of my favorite words right now, and it sounds like luminous, and there's a reason for that. We say that a cathedral is numinous in its beauty when we look at it. It is this feeling of sacredness and reverence when something is numinous. And there are certain people who are numinous, who you look at them and you see this other earthly beauty in the way they approach their lives. And you see that they are not just the physical shell that we each carry. They have a cathedral of works and achievements behind them that make them unforgettable. So Jane Goodall is an example of a numinous woman to me. She went against the tide of current messages that are constantly telling us to be a baddie, for example, to attain the spouse you want, or to do these different methods and means to try to bypass the fact that life is vulnerable and the things we acquire are not actually truly due to our own merits, but truly blessings from above. And it seems our society is forgetting that. And in that kind of world that feels full of drought in understanding, to see a woman that is humble and giving and self-emptying is like an oasis of fresh water in our society. And that's what makes Jane Goodall so very memorable. And she died at 91 of natural causes. If you go on janegoodall.org, you'll see the extent of her work, which she didn't even boast about what a large extent it was. And I'll get into that now. So she has done so much for ethology, which is the study of animal behavior, primatology, which is the study of primates, human rights activism, peace activism, and just humanitarian efforts as a whole. She cared about all living beings, and she never, even as she got famous, thought she was ever above anyone. She continued to work in remote parts of the world, interacting with the chimpanzees hands-on in tangible ways, interacting with them. And that's what makes her so truly special. And she authored 27 books for adults and children based on these causes. She was in 2 IMAX productions, as well as numerous films and documentaries. She not only did all of that, she wrote theses for her primatology work that is still used today in understanding primates. And her conservation projects live on, her institute lives on. And again, janegoodall.org, you'll be really amazed at just the extent of all she's done. She was working all the way to 91, all the way to right as she died. She never stopped. She was just always moving and talking about how to be a good human being, and talking about how apathy is not what we need right now. We need care. We need selflessness. So she was just incredible, a noble, numinous woman, unforgettable. And her work is going to endure way past all these frivolous social media posts on silly topics that don't really increase someone's mind and humble them correctly. So, and the truth is, we need people like that more than ever, and to remember people like that more than ever, because I feel every generation is getting more lax, generally speaking, in these understandings. So as technology advances, there are certain moral capacities that have lessened. And I can even say that as a millennial, I've seen changes, and it's real. It's real. The confusion is real. So she's the type of person that's the antidote for the ailments in our world. So again, research Jane Goodall, and I'll bring up one other thing in talking about this. She reminded me in my specific faith of the Proverbs 31 woman, or the epilogue of the wife of noble character. And there are certain traits that I believe our Maker, our Creator, looks at as noble. And I'll get into what I recall now. And please reference everything I'm talking about, because I'm not looking at the sources directly right now. I'm just recalling to the best of my ability. The Proverbs 31 wife was esteemed because she gave her husband good all the days of his life. So she was a noble, steadfast woman, not disloyal, and persevering. She got up while it was still night to make sure she accounted for the well-being of her spouse and the maidservants that she had in that time, because remember, these were older times. But the point is, she thought on people no matter their social standing, and she learned to use the spindle, she learned trade, she was industrious, she was hardworking, and she did all this for the benefit of her family, for others, not thinking on herself. And she is honored because she knew that charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting. And the verse said, but a woman that fears the Lord is to be praised. So she understood it's not about charm and beauty, it's about the inner person, the thing that endures forever. And she's remembered and praised for her works at the city gates, works of goodness. And when I was reading through this, I thought there are so many parallels to Jane Goodall. I see a cathedral of a person in Jane Goodall. I see someone just to be praised, and she is praised around the world now. You can never speak bad about someone so noble-hearted, so selfless. And if you do, it reflects more on you than on them. So I just wanted to share these thoughts today and talk about us striving to be numinous individuals in the way we can. And again, I always say, don't be too hard on yourself. Obviously, she is someone world-renowned, and we are not all world-renowned. We all have different working capacities. Even at my age, I don't have, I believe, the physical working capacities of others my age, so I do what I can virtually, right, to help. But the point is, do what you can. Be reasonable with yourself and take care of yourself, but think about that which endures, messages which endure, messages which are timeless, messages which are just gorgeous, which are numinous, and that rubs off on you too. The space your soul inhabits rubs off on you too. So her laughter was just beautiful in every picture. Even into her 90s, she just had this grace and poise and dignity that comes from a heart pure towards good works. So I just really want to honor her in this post. Thank you.